vinyl community, welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all of the records I have received within the months of July and August of this year, 2019. This haul turned out to be a bit bigger than I expected it would, because July was kind of a stale month for me in terms of buying vinyl. I had forked out the funds for two very lavish packages, which you will see in the very beginning of this haul, and I thought that would have kind of set me back and just kind of put the brakes on for buying stuff for the rest of the summer. But then things started to slowly pick up as the summer progressed, and honestly, I was just really seeking out deals, price drops, and all kinds of stuff. So it wasn't so much impulse buys and just buying records willy-nilly. It was honestly seeking out deals, and I think that's rather reflective in this haul. This is just a haul full of amazing deals and finds. This is going to be like my previous recent hauls where I filmed small clips of me showcasing the records as I receive them, and I just kind of compile it all together. So by any means, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. Alright, so now we have a live box set that I'm going to show you guys. I was going to do an unboxing of this, but after kind of going through it, I figured it's best to, just feature it on the haul itself. We got a live release from King Crimson. This is live in Toronto, 2015. This is a fantastic live show. This first came out as part of the Collectors Club series that they do, where they'll release like live shows from all different periods. And this show was as much of a standout as it was to be featured as a full-length live release. Great set list. You get Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1, Pictures of a City. You get some new stuff like Radical Action, drum stuff like Hellhounds of Crim, where they got the three drummers kind of going back and forth. Red, Construction of Light, Starless, The Letter, Sailor's Tale, Crimson King, Schizoid Man. I mean, it's fantastic. The show takes up 7 sides of vinyl, and then we have a bonus 8th side of some other cuts from the US tour from 2014, such as The Light of Day, Hellhounds of Crim, and Schizoid Man. Now, in terms of vinyl, this is, as of right now, the only full-length live document that we have of this modern lineup of King Crimson. The other live release that we have from this period is the Live at the Orpheum release, which is just a single LP, a major excerpt of the show. It's just, I think it's like 6 or 7 songs or something like that. So this is a full-length document, which is really, really nice to have. Comes with a nice sturdy box, and here's the back side here. And as we take everything out, we have a very nice booklet here, which includes some liner notes and photos backstage, which is very, very nice. I'm telling you, when it comes down to King Crimson product, it's all about quality, and rest assured you are getting your money's worth when it comes to this stuff. And then we also have an insert here, which has a nice picture of the band. And then we have a DVD here, which looks like, just by looking at the label here, it's just a PCM 2448 stereo mix of the show, so you can listen to it with fancy equipment, speakers, whatnot. At first I thought it was surround sound, but it looks like it's just the stereo mix. I'm not going to showcase every record because it all kind of looks rather unison, but I will showcase all of the sleeves. It's a 4 LP set, and as you see, here we have side 1 with Mr. Fripp, then we have Jacko Jaksic on side 2, and then we have side 3 with Tony Levin, side 4 Mel Collins, then we have, making sure nothing slides off, side 5 with Bill Rieflin, one of the drummers, and then we have side 6 with Pat Mastelotto. And then on side 7 we have Mr. Gavin Harrison, and then we have the audience on side 8. All the LPs come in nice polyline sleeves, and they come on these numeric basic black center labels there, so you obviously know what side you're playing, which is nice. Nice heavyweight pressings as well. Might be 180 or 200 gram. I know the Crimson releases tend to be around the 200 gram sort of weight, so it does feel nice, and I'm very excited to give this a spin. I was low-key hoping that they would give Radical Action a vinyl release, because that's like the main release that they're really pushing within this lineup of King Crimson. But if anything, I think this Live in Toronto release will be just as good as it gets. Now, why exactly did I pick this up? Well, there was a bit of a price drop, and considering the value of King Crimson products, I thought it was rather good value. So I went ahead and picked it up, but I also picked up something else. Now, this is not vinyl related, but it is King Crimson related, and this is my new sort of rabbit hole that I have found myself in. And I'm on a mission to get all of these sets, and I think I've lost my mind at this point. Check that out. It's the Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Complete Recordings box set. So these past several years, the DGM King Crimson team has been putting out these lavish sets covering certain periods of the band's career, and including every possible recording from that period, whether it's studio or live. You get all kinds of live stuff on this. It's a lot of audio bootlegs. You get a restored soundboard recording. You get the original stereo mix of Larks Tongues. You get some session reels and like outtakes all spliced together, along with alternate takes and mixes. You get the Steven Wilson remix on this, along with a DVD and Blu-ray of the surround sound mix with some video footage of them playing live in the studio in Bremen. So this is just an absolutely gorgeous set, really amazing quality, and like I said, I am on a mission to get all of these sets that are out there. So it's a great day for Crimson. So in case you saw, I did a live stream where I showcased the David Bowie Space Oddity 50th Anniversary 7-inch box, but included with the package was a reissue that came out on the same day, Friday, July 12th, which honestly I forgot was coming out on the same day as the Bowie thing. I thought it was the week after, but you know, I can't keep up with this stuff at this point. This is a fantastic live album from the 70s, a rather significant one, and honestly just all out amazing. It is Paul McCartney and Wings Over America. This was recorded during Paul's tour of the U.S. back in 75, 76, which was his first major tour after the Beatles had broken up and it was a said done deal. So we went out in the U.S., played the arenas, and released this live album. Interesting fact to note out, my dad actually saw this tour. He went to the show at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, and always gave me great first-hand accounts of the show and how it went and everything, so it's a pretty cool thing to know. It's a 3 LP set, and you get quite the selection of both McCartney, Wings, and Beatles material. So it opens up with Venus and Mars, Rock Show, and Jet. Bam, that's the first cut, and then we have Let Me Roll It, Maybe I'm Amazed, and then we also have things like Lady Madonna, Long and Winding Road, Blackbird, Yesterday, I've Just Seen a Face. Overall, a very nice selection of tracks from both McCartney's solo career and Beatles. Comes in the very nice gatefold sleeve, which has some brilliant artwork of the band on stage. Looks fantastic. And then we also have a nice double-sided poster, which I will show. I'm going to try to get it completely in the shot. There you go. So check that out. In the front it says entire concert performance. And then on the bottom it says souvenir 3-record set. I'm not sure if this came with the original. I know my dad has an old vinyl copy of this, and this did not come with his copies, you know, because people hang this stuff up on their walls back in the day. And then on this side, we have all kinds of great-looking photographs from the shows, which looks absolutely great, so you can stare at this poster as you listen to the album. Looks absolutely mighty fine. And I'll showcase one of the LPs. We get 3 in this package. They all come in these printed inner sleeves. And here is the vinyl. We have nice custom labels, which looks absolutely great, and it looks pretty well pressed too. This was done over at GZ Vinyl, and it looks quite good to my eyes. Can't wait to play this. I'm not sure if this is a complete repress of the version that came out back in 2013, because they remastered it and put it out along with the rock show concert film, that was all done back in like 2013. So I'm not sure if this is a complete repress of it, or if it's a new master or new cut, whatever. I'm excited for it. They did a whole bunch of other McCartney live albums today as well. They did the Paul is Live album. They did the Amoeba Records show, and then there was the Russian release from the late 80s, early 90s. Absolutely amazing stuff. Wings Over America. Alright, so if you guys can recall, there was the Heart and Monkeys album that I got off of Pop Market. I just received this record, which was part of that order, but at the time of placing the order, it was currently back ordered. And I figured this was a record that was worth waiting to get restocked, mainly because it dropped to a really good price of $20. And on Amazon, it's like going for $35 to $40, and it had not dropped on Amazon, so I figured this would be a good time to jump on it. And also, this is a release that has some rather sentimental value to myself. Talking about Motley Crue, The End, live in Los Angeles. So this is a live document of the band's final show in LA that took place at the Staples Center on New Year's Eve 2015. I say that there's some sentimental value to this because I was very lucky to catch this tour twice. The first time was back in summer of 2014 when they did the I guess it was known as the Susquehanna Bank Center. Now it's the BB&T Pavilion in Camden, and that was a fantastic show. And I said to myself, if that's the last time that I see Motley, that is the show. I'm very happy I saw it. And then they came back the next summer in 2015 with a whole new stage show, and they did the indoor arena at Wells Fargo. And it kind of just lost that last show kind of vibe to it. Because like when I saw the 2014 one, I'm like, wow, oh my god, I can't believe I'm witnessing this. And then I saw it a year later, and it's like, but I still have fond memories of that 2014 show. Comes in a nice glossy gatefold sleeve. Opens up, has a nice pyrotechnic gatefold photo, kind of reminiscent of Kiss Alive 2. And then we have in here, if I can get it out, we have a DVD of the show, which I'm very happy to see. I have not seen the DVD, and I've been wanting to for a long time. 2 record sets, comes on printed inner sleeves, which feature all the guys in the band, pressed on standard black vinyl. It looks absolutely great. It kind of looks similar in design to the Kiss Rocks Vegas release, which kind of makes sense because both that and the Motley Crue release were looked after by Eagle Records. They usually specialize in like live DVDs and Blu-rays, and of course they'll release the soundtrack on audio to kind of accompany it. So it looks similar, but honestly, it's well put together, well worth the price, and I'm very excited to dig into this. Motley Crue, The End, live in Los Angeles. Okay, so this next record I'm going to showcase is one that was kind of a surprise. Did not see myself picking this up, and it just kind of fell into my hands. I picked this up over at the FYE that I work at, as you can tell. It was shipment day, and as always, I do the vinyl shipment just to see what stuff we get in. It's mostly more of the same stuff we always carry, but every now and then we'll come across some surprises and some things that you don't really see too often. And we got some albums in that were marked as red hot deals, and I think I explained this in my last haul because I got some red hot deals then. Basically, the sale that's going on now is 50% off whatever the price is, whether it's the regular price or the sale price if it's marked on sale. And so this album was marked on sale for $11.99, 50% off that, $6. You really cannot beat that. And I'm guessing maybe the warehouse is discontinuing holding this particular title, or they're trying to clear space. I don't know. I don't know how the science works behind those kind of things, but I thought for the price this was absolutely worth it. Picked up Lynyrd Skynyrd, Nothing Fancy. This came out back in '75. You get Saturday Night Special, On the Hunt, Whiskey Rock-a-Roller, Made in the Shade. Classic stuff. I love the back cover and how the keyboard player Billy is flipping the camera off. Absolutely awesome. This is the Back on Black reissue, so it does come with a nice download code. And then we have the vinyl itself, which is in a nice polyline sleeve on the Rainbow MCA label there. And this was pressed over at GZ Vinyl in the Czech Republic. Looks rather well pressed. And this is going to be kind of a bit of a blind listen, because I know the notable tracks on this, but as a whole, not so much. So I figured for the price, why the hell not? Take the chance, and who knows, I may love it. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Nothing Fancy. Alright, so this next record I'm going to show you guys is indeed an Amazon price drop. For a while, this was at around $13, $14, which is not at all a bad price for a new pressing, but it wasn't necessarily something that I needed to get ASAP, so I just kind of waited around and let some time pass. And then recently it dropped to around $10, which is not too much of a difference, but I figured it was justifiable enough for me to snag it, and I'm very glad that I did so because it is indeed a rather cool pressing. This is the Rolling Stones 12x5. This is the band's second full-length studio release here in the US. This is essentially an expansion of the 5x5 EP, which came out just a little after their debut studio release. So they kind of flourished it out and added a couple more songs in order to make it more of a long-playing type of release, which is what we have here. You get some covers on here like Around and Around, Time Is on My Side, Under the Boardwalk, and then you also get some originals such as Good Times, Bad Times, Grown Up Wrong, Congratulations. So it's very much that case where you kind of get like rhythm and blues covers and then a couple of Jagger Richards originals with the early Stones albums. Artwork is replicated very nicely, and this particular pressing comes on very nice clear vinyl, which looks absolutely spectacular and is probably the clearest vinyl I've ever seen. And this is one of those clear vinyl reissues that they've done for some of the early Stones albums. I know that I do have Beggar's Banquet, Get Your Yayas Out, and Let It Bleed in this format, and they also did a clear vinyl pressing of Hot Rocks as well, and I believe this is the only other album that they did in that series. I'll have to double check, but they're relatively, easy and fun to collect, so they are rather cool. And with this particular album, I thought that this would be a nice opportunity for me to dig deeper into the early Stones stuff, because for myself, as a Rolling Stones fan, I kind of start from the mid to late 60s onwards, and then with the early stuff like this, I do enjoy it and I will listen to it. It's just not necessarily stuff that I would go back and revisit on multiple occasions. So if anything, I think this album will perhaps broaden my early Stones horizons a bit. 12x5. And then the next record I'm going to show is one that I actually picked up at the FYE that I work at. This past Friday, we got in 3 vinyl reissues of this particular band. 2 of them were single LP pressings, which were sale priced at $24.99. And then there was another album, which was a 2 LP set, sale priced at $19.99. And I kind of found it peculiar that the album with more, in terms of LPs, was going for a lower price than the ones with single LPs. And then I was able to get a percentage off, so I managed to pay about $15 for it, which when you break it down to the sale price and then the retail list price, which was $35, it was an absolute no-brainer indeed. I am talking about Megadeth's 13. This album came out towards the tail end of 2011, and this is an album that I'm kind of fond of in a way. I remember there was a lot of hype when this came out. It was the return of original bassist David Ellefson. The song Sudden Death was on Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock. Public Enemy #1, I know, was like the big notable single off of this. And then I had actually seen Megadeth live during this album cycle when they came to Camden in January of 2012. It was when they brought their, their Gigantour package, where you basically had Lacuna Coil, Volbeat, Motorhead, and Megadeth all under one bill, and that was for sure a very rockin' show. So I remember they did play Public Enemy #1 live, along with probably a few other songs off of this. So I figured this would be a great time to kind of revisit this particular record. BMG has been reissuing many of the kind of out-of-print Megadeth albums, such as The World Needs a Hero and System Has Failed, and they just recently did United Abominations, Endgame, and this album here. As I just showed, comes with a nice gatefold sleeve, and then you get printed inner sleeves here with the lyrics on this side, and then the credits on this one. Take the vinyl out. Very well pressed over at Optimal in Germany. Comes with nice orange center labels there. Absolutely spectacular. And I'll showcase the other inner sleeve. All the labels are replicated, so I'm not gonna pull out the second LP, but you get the cast of characters, as they say, on this side. So of course you get Dave Mustaine as always, David Ellefson, and then you have guitarist Chris Broderick and Sean Drover on drums, and then you get some artwork on this side. So yeah, like I said, really happy to revisit this album, and who knows, maybe listening to this, I'll go ahead and pick up some of the other Megadeth reissues that have come out in recently. Megadeth 13. Alright, so this next record I'm going to show you guys is one that I am very, very happy to own in my collection. Give you guys a little bit of a backstory behind this. I was actually in the process of doing some research for a Black Sabbath vinyl video, which maybe you've seen already at this point, or you're going to be seeing it very, very soon, depending on when it's queued up for upload. And I was looking into the 2009 Rhino reissues of the Dio-era Sabbath catalog. As of right now, in 2019, those reissues are out of print, very hard to come by, and they average around $50 or more. So it's kind of out of my price range, but I always keep my eyes open for a deal if it ever comes around. And I was looking at the individual listings for each of the albums, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, Live Evil, and Dehumanizer, and I came across a copy of this particular album being sold for $20, which is not a bad price by any means considering what it goes for. The sellers said that there was a small ding in one of the corners and a few minor scuffs on the vinyl, but it plays perfectly. The guy had it rated VG+, so I thought that was justifiable, and I figured I'd give it a shot, just see what I got. And when I received the record, personally, I thought it was inaccurately described, but in the sense that it's better than what it was described to be. So, I am talking about Mob Rules. So this album was Dio's second album with Sabbath, and this was also the last studio album that he did with the band until his return in the early 90s. Absolutely love the album cover. It is just absolutely sick. You get some great tracks on this. You get the title track, of course, which is amazing. Turn Up the Night, which is an awesome, awesome opener. There's also Falling Off the Edge of the World, Sign of the Southern Cross. They were really riding a wave with this album after just pretty much being resurrected with Heaven and Hell, and it definitely shows on this album. Comes with the classic kind of 80s era white Warner Brothers label, which looks nice. And it was pressed at Pallas in Germany, so it is indeed a rather nice pressing, and I'm sure it's going to be a nice quiet one as well. And I've also heard very good things regarding the Sabbath Dio Rhino reissues. No indication on who mastered them. There was nothing in the dead wax, but I'm sure with how punchy these albums sounded to begin with, this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal pressing. Black Sabbath, Mob Rules. Alright, so here is another record that I picked up at the FYE that I work at. So this particular record has a bit of an interesting story to it, and it all dates back to around June of this year. And we get shipments in throughout the week of stuff that we put out on Fridays for New Music Release Day, because that's when all new music releases come out. And I open up the package, which has a new release sticker on it, and I saw this particular record in there, and I'm thinking to myself, this got reissued like last year. Like, are they sending us just something that has already been out, just put it in the wrong box? Not quite sure, but I didn't really look too much into it, so I just scanned it in the system and put it out on the floor, and that was that. And then, like, it stuck in the back of my mind for the longest time, and I looked in my inventory, and I saw that we had one pressing of this album in, so I clicked on it, and I saw the release date, and it was from June of 2019. So I'm like, okay. So I go on, like, Discogs, and I'm looking online, seeing if there was, like, a particular different pressing that came out of this particular album, and sure enough, it was the pressing that popped up on the internet, and I saw, what entailed with it. So I'm like, okay, I know exactly what it is. And then I just managed to see that it was on sale for a rather good price, that I was able to get this, including my employee discount. And I'm filming this clip on a Thursday. It's going to be off sale on the upcoming Saturday or Sunday. So I wanted to get it while it was still on sale, and I essentially paid half of what it goes for from other online retailers. So you got to jump on it while you can. I am talking about Def Leppard, Vault Greatest Hits 1980 to 1995. Crazy enough, I do not have any Def Leppard albums in my collection, so this is a first. And honestly, when it comes to Def Leppard, you really can't go wrong, with the hits. You get Pour Some Sugar on Me, Photograph, Love Bites, Let's Get Rocked, Armageddon It, Rock of Ages, Hysteria, Bringing on the Heartbreak. I mean, these guys were masters at just pumping out hit after hit back in the 80s. These guys are a band that I do enjoy listening to, and I had the great pleasure of seeing them live when they did the co-headline tour with Kiss back in 2014. Here is the back side, and it comes with two printed inner sleeves here. We have liner notes on this side, and then we have like a track by track kind of breakdown on this side, and then we have some artwork and credits on this one. Now, why did I pick this pressing up? Because it is pressed on gold vinyl. So Universal has been putting out colored vinyl reissues of certain albums that they've put out over the years. And before they hit the mainstream market, whether it's stores like mine or Amazon or other retailers, for the longest time they were only available on a website called thesoundofvinyl.com, which is kind of like a Universal affiliate website, which caters to like the collectors that are into like the colored variants of certain albums and such. And like you would see like these reissues pop up on this website. And granted, like, they looked absolutely nice, but, like, they kind of charge a little bit of a premium for them, granted, because there is that sort of collectability behind it. So, I guess they just started recently just putting stuff out in the mainstream market, and I guess trying it out, and I think it's a rather cool tactic for us that, that attend record stores and they see these colored variants out there, which is cool. And now, aside from the Vault Greatest Hits release, they also did a red vinyl version of Pyromania, which my store did get in, and I came very, very close to getting it, but my friend / coworker snagged it before I did, and I was kind of like, I would have felt guilty if I bought that just on a whim, so thank you for buying it for me. But luckily, there was some luck left for me, and I was able to snag this one up, and hence start collecting Def Leppard on vinyl with Vault Greatest Hits 1980 to 1995. Alright, so today was a fantastic day for vinyl finds. Days like this have been very few and far between lately, so today was really a great one to compensate for lost time. So this first record I'm going to show you is one that I became recently aware of thanks to someone that I follow on Instagram. And I saw that they had posted a picture of this particular album that I'm aware of. And I saw that it was a colored pressing. And to the best of my knowledge, I was not aware of any colored pressings of this particular compilation, I should say. And I looked at the description of the photo, and it said it was from Target, and I thought to myself, holy crap, how did I miss this? Because I usually try to be on top of exclusive pressings to come from like retailers such as Target, Urban Outfitters, or even FYE where I work at. So I looked a bit into it, and I checked online to see if my local Target had any copies in stock, and it said that they had 2. And I was trying to think because I would not have been able to make it out to Target until today. It's a Saturday, and I think I saw this photo on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So I checked this morning, and it said that there was one copy left. So it was kind of a gamble, so I did my morning routine, had my coffee, listened to an album, got dressed, went to my Target, headed all the way to the back of the store, which is where all of like the electronics and the media is at. And lucky enough, there was 2 copies there. So I was very happy to snag one, and that is Elton John Diamonds. This is a compilation which came out back in 2017. This is the most current greatest hits package to come from Elton. This is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the first LP alone is spectacular because you get all of the 70s hits, and then you get the second LP, which kind of picks up in the late 70s. It goes through the 80s stuff, and then the stuff he did for Disney in the 90s, all the way up to the present day. Includes some great liner notes from Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Here's the track list. And then I do like the gatefold, which has like the various stages of Elton through the years. Nice stuff. I'll showcase one of the LPs, I mean, because it's the same throughout this particular package. The records come in printed inner sleeves here with different types of like single sleeves from different countries and whatnot. And includes liner notes with each of the songs, which is really, really nice. Now, what makes this pressing really special is that it comes pressed on blue vinyl. So this is a Target exclusive blue vinyl pressing, which I believe came out fairly recently. And it looks absolutely spectacular. And from what it says in the credits on one of these inner sleeves, the vinyl cutting was done by Sean McGee. And I believe it was digitally remastered by Bob Ludwig, but I'm sure it's going to sound decent to my ears. I'm just really glad to have a really solid Elton John compilation in my collection with Diamonds. And up next is something that I got from Amoeba Records all the way out on the West Coast in California. This purchase was not really an accident, but just it was something that I did not see myself getting. It was one of those general cases where there's records that I know of that I want, but just I'm always waiting for a deal to pop up. So I kind of let time pass and just see what pops up at any given time. And I must have been really lucky because I found a killer deal on this particular record, which at this point, it's currently out of print. It goes for around $40 or more. And it was a used copy on Amoeba. It was graded as VG+. The shelf had a little bit of like, not the shelf, the cover had a little bit of shelf wear. And the vinyl maybe just had a few scuffs, maybe. So, I mean, it wasn't anything to draw me away from it. And it was priced at $19.99, which is half of what this record goes for. And I had a 10% off coupon. And on top of free shipping, I ended up paying $17.99 for this record, which is an unbelievable steal. I mean, how I got this lucky, I have no clue. I am talking about Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy Live. So this is a live album which was recorded during the tail end of the Blizzard of Oz tour. You pretty much get that album live in its entirety on this thing, along with a rendition of Flying High Again, which would be on Diary of a Madman. You get a couple of Sabbath cuts with Children of the Grave, Iron Man, and Paranoid. And then you get a fourth side on this, because the live show takes up 3 sides, and then you get a fourth side, which features a guitar and vocal mix of Goodbye to Romance and a little guitar instrumental from Randy Rhoads called RR, which are bonus tracks found on the remastered Blizzard of Oz reissue from 2011. The concert itself is found on the deluxe version of Diary of a Madman, and I have listened to the concert. It sounds spectacular. I can only begin to imagine what it sounds like on vinyl. There's the back cover shot there. So you see you got Ozzy, Randy Rhoads, Rudy Sarzo, and then Tommy Aldridge on the drums. Comes with a nice gatefold, kind of fold-out sleeve of Ozzy right there, just hamming it up on stage. And then we have the records themselves, which come in these sort of kind of PVC sleeves, which are very heavy-duty. And here is the vinyl, with nice custom labels. This was pressed at RTI. Usually the sleeves that these records come in, like these kind of PVC sleeves, are an indicator that they were pressed at RTI. And it was mastered by Ray Janos, so I'm sure Ray worked his magic and brought this release to life on the vinyl format, so I'm very excited to give this a listen. And last but not least is perhaps one of the most beautiful records in my collection. So this is actually a FYE exclusive. When I found out that we were getting this particular release in, I freaked out. I immediately put down a $15 reservation deposit, so that would guarantee a copy to come in so I can snag it. And also priced incredibly well. I think I only ended up paying about $10 out of pocket on top of the $15 for this. Absolutely amazing stuff, and this is another knock out of the ballpark in terms of Jimi Hendrix pressings. So I'm talking about Jimi Hendrix live at Woodstock. So this particular variant just came out literally yesterday as of filming this clip, and it's his legendary performance at Woodstock with the Gypsies, Sun, and Rainbows band, which was very short-lived, and this was pretty much the only notable performance of that band. You get the entire set here. You got some tracks like Message to Love, Hear My Train A-Comin', of course the most notable rendition of the Star Spangled Banner, Isabella. You also get Voodoo Child. I mean, just absolutely amazing stuff. Comes in a nice triple gatefold sleeve with nice artwork. It's the usual stuff that we expect out of these great Hendrix releases that have been coming out in recent years. And then we have a nice book, which has some nice photographs and liner notes talking about the gig. Very nice stuff. And then we get to the vinyl. Comes in nice raised paper inner sleeves, and this comes pressed on what is described as purple haze vinyl. So here it is, purple vinyl, and you can kind of see up close it from at a certain angle it has like a sort of opaque marbled look to it, but look what happens when you tilt it at the angle. Look at that. That is some spectacular purple haze vinyl there. I'm sure this thing is going to sound absolutely amazing. It was mastered by Ryan K. Smith, but just simply looking at it alone is just truly one of a kind. I mean, I cannot stop looking at this pressing. It's absolutely gorgeous. Amazing stuff. FYE did an exclusive colored pressing of the Smash Hits compilation. This was, I would say, during 2016, 2017, and I do have my hands on that particular reissue. And it's great to see once again that they put out this legendary concert in a rather nice, cool, limited variant. It was not said and not numbered how many copies were made, but I think I saw somewhere it was around 2,000. So I'm sure this pressing is going to be quite valuable in the future, and honestly, one of the most beautiful pieces of colored vinyl in my collection, Jimi Hendrix live at Woodstock. Alright, so here are some records that I picked up within the Mays Landing area of South Jersey. My best friend and I were out and about. We went out to dinner at a local diner. We went to the mall. We walked around a little bit. And then we stopped at the Rock Shop, which is where I do my record store vlogs. And I didn't really have my mind set on leaving with anything. As of filming, news is about to drop in terms of the Beatles Abbey Road 50th anniversary configurations, and I just signed up for the Third Man Vault so I can get the White Stripes 20th anniversary package. So buying anything else was the last thing on my mind. But I figured if there was anything there notable, a good deal, or something at an average price, I would snag it. And I came close to leaving with nothing, but then I remembered there was this record that still managed to be there that I remember seeing the last time I did a record store vlog with my girlfriend, which was right around the month of May. And when I saw it, it also clicked that I had a stamped card in my wallet. Now, what exactly is a stamped card? The Rock Shop does this thing. It's like a business card, and it has 10 circles on it. and for every $10 you spend, you get X amount of circles stamped. So, like, if you spend $30, you get 3 stamps. And then if you get all 10 filled out, you get $10 off your next purchase, or a purchase of your choosing. So I figured this will be a good time to use it, and I saw this record, and I did the math, and I would have ended up paying $18, which is what I paid. And then, once I did the math, I went on Amazon, copied the link for the particular record that I found, plugged it into camelcamelcamel.com, which is an Amazon price tracker, and I went to see what the lowest price was for that pressing at Amazon at any given time. And this was the rare occasion where the price that I ended up paying was cheaper than the lowest Amazon listing price, which is kind of a rare occasion, but it's a rather good deal and also a fantastic album indeed. I am talking about Dream Theater's Octavarium. This album came out back in 2005. This is a fantastic album to come from these guys. You get The Root of All Evil, which is one of the songs in Mike Portnoy's Alcoholics Anonymous suite, which kind of spreads over several albums. The Answer Lies Within, that's one of my personal favorites. I Walk Beside You, Panic Attack, Octavarium. I mean, this album is just absolutely flying high. Outstanding record. Now, this was a used pressing. It was labeled as BG+. And honestly, I would classify it as near mint. Granted, it's not in the shrink wrap, which I don't really care about. But, like, there is not a single imperfection on this cover. It is absolutely intact. Nice gatefold sleeve there. Comes with a nice insert, which is essentially the CD booklet just spread out on an insert sheet. It's a 2 LP set. I'll just showcase the 1 LP. Comes in a nice kind of film type of inner sleeve, which is an indication, as well as looking in the dead wax, that this was indeed pressed to RTI. So it is an absolutely beautiful looking pressing. Nice custom labels there, and this was mastered by Ron McMaster, so I'm sure he did a fantastic job mastering this, and really excited to give this album a spin. This is an album that I have not listened to in a long time. Back when I was a full-fledged Dream Theater junkie, when I was in like middle school, high school, I played this album to death, so it'll be nice to revisit it once again. And then after the Rock Shop, we went to the Target, which was pretty much in a plaza directly across from the mall. And then we head to the back of the store, which is where they have all the media and the electronics. My friend's looking at the books, I'm looking at the records. And for the most part, it was the same kind of selection that I expected, like, from my local Target. It was the same kind of titles. But then I saw this record, and I had no clue, once again, just like the Elton John album, that this was out. And I was like, really? And then I checked the price, and it was absolutely unbeatable. And it's going for the same price in store, that is, as the standard black vinyl pressing, which is available elsewhere. So this actually is a limited variant. And my rule when it comes to like limited variants of stuff that's available in the mainstream market, if I get the black vinyl version, which is available everywhere, that's fine. But if I'm out in the wild and I see a variant of the same value in terms of the price, I will snag it because it's a sight-on-see kind of deal, and it's just nice to have like an exclusive variant and limited whatnot. I'm not one to strictly get limited variants and that's it, because of course I'm all about the sound quality, but the collectability part of it is nice. So I figured for this particular pressing being the same value as the black vinyl version, it was an absolute must-have. So this is the very best of the Beach Boys, Sounds of Summer. Beach Boys, perfect summer band. It's August right now. Figured it's a good soundtrack to wrap up the summer with. This is a rather solid 2 LP compilation which covers the entire history of the band. So it goes from the surf stuff from the early 60s to the experimental, mid-period, which is my personal favorite. You also get the 70s resurgence and then the 80s stuff with Kokomo. So it covers all bases. It gets the job done. 2 LP set. Gatefold here with all kinds of words and information regarding the songs. Also comes with another insert in here. So we have some liner notes from Anthony DeCurtis, along with all kinds of pictures of the band. Really, really nice. Now on to the vinyl, and this is why I picked this up. Look at that. Nice marbled orange vinyl. Looks absolutely splendid. You kind of get little flecks of red in there as well, which is really cool. Looks absolutely nice. Nice replica of the original Capitol kind of swirl label there. Absolute must-have. And just out of pure curiosity, because I was trying to like kind of justify this just a tad bit more, I went on Discogs and looked at the listing for this pressing, and it's going for twice what I paid, which is ridiculous, honestly. This came out like in June. And then I also went on Target's website, and they actually have a rather decent selection of exclusive colored pressings. They have Guns N' Roses, Nirvana, which mostly is stuff that I already have, so I'm not in a rush to like replace what I own already with those pressings. But in this case, I didn't have this album, and considering I was, you know, just looking willy-nilly just to see what they had and stumbled across it, went ahead and snagged it. Very best of the Beach Boys, Sounds of Summer. Alright, so here is some new music which actually came out fairly recently this summer. As of filming this clip, this album came out about 2 weeks ago, and I had ordered one of the limited variants from the band's website, and it shipped from England, so it kind of took its time getting here to the US, but I was kind of suspecting that it would come in sometime rather soon as of the time that I'm filming this clip. The girlfriend and I were out and about over at the shore, and then when I came home, the package was waiting for me on my bed, dug into it, and I saw that it finally arrived. And it is the new album from the Kaiser Chiefs. This is a band that I've talked about a couple times on my channel. They're perhaps one of my all-time favorite indie rock bands from Leeds in England. Really got to check them out. They're fantastic. This is their new album called Duck, which is one that I have been really anticipating for some time. The band's last album, which came out in 2016, called Stay Together. Though I did enjoy it, but it was so detached from everything else that the band had done at that point. It was very much in sort of the synth pop kind of realm in terms of the genre. And when I listened to it, I kind of sensed that Kaiser Chiefs touch to it that made it the Kaiser Chiefs. It just did not hit me as hard as their other albums. And so far from what I've heard of this in terms of the singles that we've gotten, such as Record Collection and People Know How to Love One Another, I think I'm in for the Kaiser Chiefs album that I have been waiting to hear for a couple years. Love the artwork. It's very different. Along with the title Duck, it's such an unordinary album title, and apparently from what I read, this was the working title for the album. And then it just stuck throughout the final stages. Here's the backside. You can kind of see the track list there. It's kind of hard to read, but it kind of gives off, like when you flip the cover over and over, it kind of gives off that sort of canvas print sort of idea to the artwork. Comes in a nice sturdy matte sleeve, which is cool. And then we have all kinds of gadgets inside. So first we have a download code, which will come in handy because I'm burning this onto a CD and putting it right in the car so I can digest the album a bit. We have a rather nice insert which opens up to feature the song lyrics, and then we have credits on this side. And then it even opens up to feature a poster, which will look great in any Kaiser Chiefs fan's bedroom. You can hoist this up on the wall. Only kidding, of course. You don't want to put pinholes in this kind of stuff. And then we get to the vinyl itself, which comes in a printed inner sleeve. And it comes on icy blue vinyl, which looks absolutely vibrant and lovely. Looks great. There's also, I should mention, there's also a tricolor pressing of this, which comes in blue, yellow, and white, which I believe are the colors for the Leeds United FC football team. And I think I had an opportunity to pre-order that pressing, and this was before the album details were even announced. It was just known as KC7, which obviously means Kaiser Chiefs' 7th album. And I don't know why I did not go for it. And it's available at like indie record stores overseas in England. But to be honest, I'm just glad that I do have a limited variant, because it is indeed limited edition according to the hype sticker. But I am very excited to dig into this album, and I'm sure I am going to be in for quite a treat. Kaiser Chiefs, Duck. Alright, so here is a rather cool package that I want to show you guys. This does include some vinyl. It's not a full-on vinyl product, but I figured just simply down to the band, it was absolutely worth showcasing, and it also has a rather interesting history behind this release. So, I added this box set to my Amazon list fairly recently in hopes of perhaps getting it for a birthday or a Christmas sometime down the road. And I noticed that there was a used but like new copy being sold through the Amazon warehouse. Now, I had rather good experiences in the past with the Amazon warehouse in terms of buying used records and such. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. Fantastic price of about $30, which is a major markdown when you compare it to the full-on $80 that Amazon's asking for it if you want to buy it brand new. And upon receiving it, this thing is like near mint condition, and there was like a small tab of tape holding down the lid of the box to the box itself, but I could just easily peel that off, no damage whatsoever, and this thing just looks brand spanking new. I am talking about the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour. So this is the collector's box set, which came out in 2012 when the film got remastered and restored for a widespread release. This film is absolutely a trip. If you're a Beatles fan, it's worth investigating, and also just to see the Beatles within, I think, their most experimental period. Of course, they were into the whole psychedelia thing at this point, and definitely a document of the time in terms of the Beatles' career. Now, I have never seen the 2012 version of this film. I think the only copy that I have of this film was some unsanctioned DVD version, which was sold at FYE years ago, and the video quality was kind of shaky and grainy, and it wasn't really too good. So I was, I've been sitting on that for so many years, and then, I knew at some point I would get to this new edition. It was just a matter of whenever I stumble across it, and I think considering what is included in this set, the timing was absolutely perfect, and I'm really excited to watch the film in all its restored glory. So the box opens up like this. It's also a very colorful release too, I must say. We get a nice booklet here, which has all kinds of behind-the-scenes photographs taken from the making of the film, all kinds of paperwork and memorabilia. Just gives you a really great insight into what was going on behind the scenes while the film was being made. There you have the cast. Just really interesting stuff. Something to just simply thumb through as you watch the film. And then, of course, we get the film itself, which comes in this little folder, which opens up, and we have the DVD and the Blu-ray disc. If anything, I'll be going for the Blu-ray. Cannot wait to see how that looks on that format. Now let's talk vinyl. Now, the main draw for me with this set, and of course the vinyl feature within the set, is a reissue of the original 1967 double EP, which came out in the UK for Magical Mystery Tour. Now, if you're a full-blown Beatles nut, you know the story behind this release. But to those that don't know, this EP, this configuration of Magical Mystery Tour, which was only done within the UK, and considering that it was only a handful of songs, done brand new for the film, they just went ahead and did a release which included two 7-inch vinyl records. I'll showcase one of them. The labels are the old-fashioned black Parlophone 45 label. Now, when it came time to release this stuff in America, Capitol saw this double EP thing as not so much the best viable option, so they did something different. And it's honestly much better in, Capitol's defense. they took the songs from the film, put it on one side of an album, and then used the flip side of the album to include the other non-album singles, which came out around the same time as this movie, such as Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, All You Need Is Love, Hello Goodbye, and Baby You're a Rich Man. And to be honest, all those songs brought together under one umbrella work so much better. It stands out as a document of the time and just gives you an insight on what the Beatles were doing in the year of '67, aside from Sgt. Pepper. So it works well in that case. And then in the mid-'70s, because up until then, that album had only been released within the United States, and it got released in the UK as a proper Beatles album. Hence, that American album became part of the core, Beatles catalog as we all know and love today. So the fact that they included this 7-inch EP, double EP that is rather cool, just simply down to the history behind it. And I'm just really happy to own a configuration of this. Includes the comic strip, which kind of gives the narrative of the film, and we get photos from the film. And this booklet is also replicated on the American album version as well, except all blown up in beautiful 12-inch format. Just absolutely great. So I'm very happy that I have a copy of this double EP, just simply down to the history, and also just really happy to get an upgrade of the film, and I cannot wait to dig into it all. Beatles Magical Mystery Tour Collector's Edition. Alright, so here is a record which has a rather deep-rooted history in terms of myself getting a copy of it. So, as of filming this clip, this all dates back to about, I would say, a couple weeks ago. The girlfriend and I, we were at the Jersey Shore, walking the boardwalk and just taking in the summer sights, and we stopped at this body piercing place, which I nicknamed the Hippy Dippy Store, just because they sold records, they had tapestries, ukuleles, incense, little African thumb pianos, just all kinds of hippy-dippy stuff. And their record selection was rather decent, and I remember I came across several copies of this particular album that I'm going to show you guys. And I thought to myself, I'm a big fan of this artist, but not big enough of a fan to own multiple pressings of the same album, multiple pressings as in stereo and mono counterparts. So I thought, alright, there's nothing really for me to pick up here, so I just went on with my night. And then I got home, and I said to myself, I should have picked this up. And I kind of wish I had a bit of a better instinct at the time when I first saw it. So, flash forward a couple weeks later, and I take the girlfriend out back to the Jersey Shore for her birthday. And I told her, I said, I'm going to stop by at the Hippy Dippy Store, as I call it. And I said, I'm in for one thing. They had a couple copies last time we were there. I'm just going to pick it up, and I'm done, and I'm out. So we go there, and they sold out. And while 99% of the day was fantastic, we were celebrating her birthday, we went ziplining, I had a nice dinner out and arcades and stuff, the 1% of the day was me ticked off that this record had sold out. And I was so mad. So in a fit because I was feeling so jilted, and I really should have had a better buyer's instinct upon seeing it the first time around, I went on Amazon and bought it just simply to end my madness of not snagging it when I first saw it. So I am talking about Jimi Hendrix Axis Bold as Love. This is indeed the mono pressing. I had the stereo version, and I would say this is my favorite Hendrix album. And just after thinking about it, if there is, an album of Hendrix that I would have multiple copies of, it would probably be this one, just simply because it's my favorite. This looks pretty much exactly the same as the stereo version, except the obvious variation being that it says mono up top instead of stereo. Now, the stereo reissue is a beautiful package. You get a nice, booklet which comes inside, nice heavy-duty tip-on jacket with heavy cardstock. With this, it kind of feels, I hate to say cheap, but it kind of does. Like, it replicates the gatefold fine, and all the artwork's replicated, but it doesn't have that deluxe feel to it. And then on top of all that, they're not in the MoFi quality record sleeves. They're in this printed inner sleeve instead, which is, it's kind of a letdown, unfortunately, but Just down to the mix alone, here's some liner notes by John McDermott, who has been overseeing the catalog. I'm interested to see what variations there are between the stereo and the mono. As far as I know, I haven't really ever listened to the Hendrix mono mixes before, because I believe this album and Are You Experienced got mono mixes, and I don't think Electric Ladyland did. So this will definitely be interesting, and I'm really excited to see what the big comparison is, and also just to experience this album in a different format. Like I said, it's probably my favorite Hendrix album, so really excited overall to give it a spin. Jimi Hendrix Experience, Axis Boda's Love, mono version. Alright, so here is a record that I picked up at the local Walmart close to where I live. Yes, they indeed sell vinyl at this point. My best friend and I, we went out to dinner at Chili's, and then afterwards we went across the street to the Walmart there, and just to walk around and just see what they have, just to kind of kill some time. And once I made my way to the back of their media entertainment sort of section of the store, I noticed that they had included some vinyl. And this was not the first time I had seen vinyl at a Walmart. I was there a couple weeks ago with my girlfriend. This was over at the Super Walmart, because there's two like relatively close to where I live. And we were at the Super Walmart, and I saw that they had like a small little end cap of vinyl there, and went through it and found some decent stuff. And I came across this particular record, and I didn't pick it up just because it wasn't really in the budget, and just I kind of really wasn't itching to get it. But then I saw it again tonight, and I was like, alright, maybe I'll snag it. And I literally carried it in my hand throughout the store, and once we made our way to the front to check out, I was kind of looking at it, and I'm like, alright, I'm really contemplating, should I get this? And then over the speakers in the store, I heard Double Vision play, and that was a sign that meant get it, and that's exactly what I did. So this is Foreigner's Jukebox Heroes. Now this right here is a collection of re-recordings of the hits. So it's your basic stuff. You get Feels Like the First Time, Cold as Ice, Long Long Way from Home, Hot Blooded, Double Vision, Head Games, Dirty White Boy, Urgent, Waiting for a Girl Like You, Wanna Know What Love Is, and Jukebox Hero. That's really all you need when it comes down to the hits. And then you also get a bonus track on here called Save Me. Now this right here is actually a Walmart exclusive pressing. And these re-recordings of the hits have been around for several years, but this is the first time that they've been seen on vinyl. It's done by the recent incarnation of the band, of course, with Mick Jones on guitar. You have Kelly Hansen, Jeff Pilson, Tom Gimbel, Michael Bluestein, Mark Schulman. They do really great renditions of these classic tunes, and I'm excited to just have a rather interesting variant of these well-known songs. No frills packaging. I mean, this is a rather cheap, exclusive pressing to get my hands on. Basic white sleeve, which I will swap out once I get to playing it. Custom labels. Kind of lightweight vinyl, but like I said, I mean, it's rather affordable. I think I ended up paying like maybe $15 for this, somewhere around those lines. So it's really, really good bang for the buck. And honestly, just down to the hits, I mean, I do enjoy Foreigner's music quite a bit, and it's always fun to play the hits every now and then. So I'm really looking forward to giving this a spin. Foreigner's Jukebox Heroes. Alright, so here's an album that I picked up with my Amazon Prime card rewards points. I think I ended up paying just like $5 out of pocket for this record, and coincidentally, when I was looking to see what I could get, this album dropped in price, and I was kind of waiting for it to drop in price for a long time, because this is one that I've been wanting for a while. I am talking about Aerosmith Pump. This album came out back in 1989, includes all kinds of hits on here. You get Lovin' an Elevator, Janie's Got a Gun, The Other Side, What It Takes. This is a rather solid album from, I guess you could say, the mainstream Aerosmith period. Now, when it comes to Aerosmith, for myself, I am fine going from the first album to, like, maybe Rockin' a Hard Place, Done with Mirrors. I'm not saying that I hate albums like Permanent Vacation, this, or Get a Grip. They just kind of lost something when they pretty much became majorly mainstream and successful. But with this album, I have a lot of fond memories of this, because I had a cassette copy of this when I was a kid, so I remember listening to it a lot. And I remember my dad had a VHS tape of the making of Pump, which was like a documentary that they did at the time, which had footage taken from the sessions, and the guys talked about how the album was made and all the songs and everything. So this album has a little bit of my childhood in there, so I'm really glad that I got a copy of this. Comes with a printed inner sleeve here with artwork, and then you have a picture of the band on this side. Comes on very nice 180 gram heavyweight vinyl, which feels really, really nice, I have to say. Comes with the standard Geffen labeled here. Really nice stuff. And it's been a long time since I had last listened to this album, so it'll be a rather nice refresher once I give it a spin, which will probably be very soon, because I really want to dig back into this Aerosmith Pump. And then up next is an album that I decided to pick up on a whim, on a last-minute trip to Walmart after my shift at work. And I have seen this album pop up many, many times in my time of collecting. And I remember when I picked up the Foreigner album, that you guys may have seen, I saw this album pop up as well. And I thought about it for a little bit, and I went home, and I went on iTunes, and I listened to the audio samples of the songs, and it kind of made sense for me to snag it. Now, right off the bat, I am not, like, a huge fan of this band, but when I heard all the songs, I had essentially grown up listening to these songs on classic rock radio. Like, these are absolute staples. So this is kind of a no-brainer, and if this is the only album that I have by this band, then great. If not, then maybe this album will prompt me to pick up more of their albums. I am talking about Creedence Clearwater Revival Chronicle 20 Greatest Hits. This is one of those albums that you just find everywhere, not just in regular brick and mortar record stores, but you see them at your FYEs, your Urban Outfitters, your Targets, everywhere. But this particular pressing, as you can see there, is an exclusive green vinyl pressing only at Walmart. And just to name some of the songs here, you get Susie Q, I Put a Spell on You, Proud Mary, Down on the Corner, Fortunate Son, Up Around the Bend, Heard It Through the Grapevine, Have You Seen Them Rain? Just great stuff. Even the songs that I'm not too fond of on this, I am really excited to dig into. We have a nice gatefold sleeve here with a picture of the band, and then you have a little history write-up and a timeline of the band's history. Rather nice stuff. Paper sleeves, which I will replace. And let's see what the vinyl looks like. So we have a really, really nice marbled green effect here on the vinyl. So you kind of get like flecks of black and white in there with a nice blue fantasy label. Looks very nice. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to really sit down and listen to these guys. Because granted, like, I've heard these songs on radio. I think there was some in like Guitar Hero. I heard one song in film soundtracks and whatnot. So to sit down and hear a bunch of their stuff all in one umbrella, it's going to be quite exciting, and I cannot wait to give this one a spin. Creedence Clearwater Revival Chronicle. Alright, so here are some rather big highlights in this vinyl haul. I picked these records up from lp.reverb.com, and I usually receive emails on a weekly basis from them regarding certain sellers that run like weekly sales, whether it's like 10 or 20% off, you know, their inventory. But this time around, it was like an end of summer weekend sale where select records from select sellers were marked down to 40% off, which is not a bad deal whatsoever. So I decided to check out the sale, see what was being offered, see what the prices were like, and just see if there was anything that was worth having in my collection. And boy, oh boy, I found some amazing, amazing finds. And just simply down to the value of these records and what I ended up paying for them, it's just absolutely amazing. And I'll point out those prices as I go through the records. So the first one I'm going to show is this right here. So this is the David Bowie BOW promo release. So a little bit of backstory behind this. Back in 1971, when Bowie was working on Hunky Dory, Tony DeFries, his manager at the time, put together a promo kind of album compilation, I guess you could say, which had alternate mixes of stuff that would be on Hunky Dory and Ziggy Stardust on the A side, And then the B-side included tracks from an artist that I believe Tony was looking after at the time, named Dana Giuseppe. 500 copies were made, distributed to labels and distributors and whatnot, and that was that. And it kind of went down in sort of David Bowie folklore, I guess you could say, and heavily bootlegged for many years and whatnot. And then flash forward to 2017, I believe it was 2017, they went ahead and reissued it as part of Record Store Day. Now, with this release, this does not feature the Dana Giuseppe tracks on the B-side. It's strictly just the Bowie stuff on a single-sided LP. Comes with memorabilia, which I'll show as I unbox this. Now, when Record Store Day came and went, when this came out, this was going for about $50 or $60 depending on the store, which is a really hard price to justify, but I paid $15 for this, and I thought it was justifiable considering what you get in this release. So it comes in a nice sort of slim kind of white box with a Gem Productions label there. Opens up, and we have a little envelope which opens up just like so with the string. And we have a really cool write-up regarding this promo album and the history behind it. There's also a cool kind of track-by-track annotation sheet, which points out the differences between the mixes on this promo album compared to the original album mixes. And then we have publishing credits here. And then we also have some really nice sort of photo cards of Bowie at the time in '71, which are absolutely beautiful looking. Really nice gloss finish to them. Suitable for framing too, I must say. Really, really nice. And then we also obviously have the record itself, which comes in just like a basic kind of white jacket. It says David Bowie Rough Mix on this side, and it has the fold over kind of UK style jacket look on the back. And then we have the Gem Productions label there as well. Record comes in a nice polyline sleeve. And here is the vinyl itself. Comes with a Gem Productions label on the center label there. And then there's just nothing on this side, so you can technically kind of hold it like that, sort of, since that side's not playable. So there it is. Rather nice. And everything from the unboxings that I've seen from other YouTubers that picked up this release for Record Store Day, everything was packaged within the sort of green tissue paper that was sealed with this kind of unique sticker, but the seller had everything kind of separated, which I think is more ideal, just to make sure that everything kind of comes intact. Because granted, let's say if you bought it brand spanking new sealed and everything's kind of, you know, mishandled, it's probably just because it was in the tissue paper. But really, really decent value for only paying $15. I think if I ended up buying this back in Record Store Day 2017, I would have had a hard time justifying it and maybe later regretted it later on. But for $15, I think it's not bad at all. I believe 5,000 copies were made for this or more. I'm not quite sure. I believe it's 5,000. So it's not like it's a scarce record to find. And believe me, there's still copies trying to be unloaded on Discogs as well. I double checked. So that's the first thing I got, the David Bowie BOW promo. And then there's this record here, which I ended up paying $6 for. $6 for this record. And considering the kind of releases that this label puts out, they're not necessarily cheap. This is Styx Cornerstone. This album came out back in 1979. This, of course, is notable for featuring Babe. There's also the song Lights, Boat on a River, which is a good one. Borrowed Time is cool. First Time, that's like Dennis DeYoung's ballady stuff. This is the Friday Music pressing, which came out back in 2012. Now, the Styx catalog on A&M was reissued by Universal. I think it was back in like 2015. Those reissues are pretty decent, but this pressing here, the Friday Music version, was mastered by Kevin Gray. So, if anything, this is just slightly a little bit better, I think. Comes in a nice gatefold jacket. Doesn't really replicate the original artwork too much. Like, there was like a lot of openings and flaps and stuff that you can pull the record out of. And there was also, I think there was like a nice custom inner sleeve for that, which was like printed on like sort of aluminum kind of Mylar-esque kind of paper, but that's not in here, which is not too much of a letdown. I mean, for me, I'm all about the sound quality, and at least the gatefold's there. And you get the A&M label here as well, which is rather nice. This was pressed over at Rainbow, so Friday Music wasn't pressing stuff at RTI yet. This was kind of early on, but overall, rather nice, pressing overall. And I'm really excited to see what this record sounds like. Kevin Gray does a great job. Whatever he works on, whether it's audiophile stuff or even rock, he always does a fantastic job with mastering. So this will be a true gem to listen to. Styx Cornerstone. And last but not least, and this is the queen mother of the finds in this haul. And I came close to getting this on Amazon because I saw it for a decent price on Amazon, but I thought it was too soon because I had already picked up another massive box set by this particular artist. And when I saw the price, which was $45 for 8 LPs in a nice box with a book, I had to act quick on it, and I'm very glad that I did so. So I'm talking about West Coast Seattle Boy, the Jimi Hendrix Anthology. So this box set came out back in 2010. This was right around the time that they did the Valleys of Neptune release. This kind of follows the same format as the purple Hendrix Experience box. I did an unboxing for that box set if you want to peel back and check it out. Kind of follows the same sort of model, except I think we go a little bit more in depth into Hendrix history on this, because the first 3 sides of this box include tracks that he had played on as a session musician. So you get artists like the Isley Brothers, the Iceman, Little Richard, like stuff that he played in the studio. And then of course it picks up from there onto when he became a solo artist with the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Includes, unreleased recordings, alternate mixes, all kinds of live stuff. So it's kind of more or less a continuation of the purple Hendrix Experience box, maybe just kind of covering the stuff that wasn't on there or anything that was new that was uncovered. So comes in a very nice, sturdy, huge box. 8 LPs, like I said. Everything's listed there. And we'll take it off. I'll show you the book, and I'll just take out one of the LPs, and I'll show you all the sleeves and whatnot. So the booklet is here. There's a nice old picture of Hendrix there. You get some liner notes from John McDermott, who's been looking after all of the Hendrix releases lately. And then more liner notes. We have a track-by-track analysis of each of the songs in this set. Look at those pictures. Really, really old stuff. Really nice. And then just kind of flick through a little bit more. We have some amazing shots of Jimi in the studio and with the Experience. And I don't think any pictures in this book were used in the other box. So I think these are all previously unseen photographs. So this is really, really cool. Very nice. And I'll take out the records. There is a lot to go through. Holy crap. So I'll showcase the first one first. So this is like all of the session musician stuff on this one, as you can see right there. Then picks up when he went solo with this one. I'll just keep showing them to you. Really nice individual album sleeves for each of the records, which is really cool. And then we're on to the last one, and I'll showcase what the vinyl looks like. So all the records come in poly-lined sleeves, kind of like paper sleeves, which is not bad. It's not the rice paper stuff I'm used to with the quality record pressings stuff that is done by the Hendrix camp. But all of the center labels kind of look more or less the same, kind of have like a brownish hue to them with photos in the background. Now, interestingly enough, this was mastered by Ray Janos. He does some of the Hendrix titles, but this was pressed over at United, which is kind of unusual. They usually use quality record pressings for for all the Hendrix stuff, but considering this was done back in 2010, I don't know if they had cut a deal where they can have it done at United, or they were still in the process of negotiating stuff to get it all done at quality. I'm not quite sure, but from what I had seen in all the LPs, you know, they're decently pressed. You know, it's just that United kind of has its quality control issues in most cases. But from what I have witnessed with this box, everything looks pretty good. So I'm not disappointed. Everything looks really, really nice. And boy, this is probably going to take me about a week to listen to. I don't know how I'm going to work through this, but I'm sure going to have a blast listening to it all. West Coast Seattle Boy, the Jimi Hendrix Anthology. Alright, so as you can see behind me, I have my Jack White vault flag up, so I kind of have a little bit more of a backdrop when I film clips in this angle, and also it's more of an attempt to kind of decorate my room a little bit, because granted, all my records and my turntable setup is within my bedroom, but I need to make it more of like a vinyl room as well, so I'm going to get some more posters up, and hopefully in the future you'll be seeing a little bit more going on behind me on my walls. But anyways, this next record I'm going to show you is one that just got reissued fairly recently. Came out this past Friday on the 23rd of August. And as of filming this clip, it is the Sunday after, and I just received it from Amazon. The label Friday Music reissued this album just in time for its 40th anniversary, which is quite fitting. And let's just say this fills a hole in my classic era Kansas studio collection. Which album am I talking about? It's this one here. So this is Monolith from 1979. This is a very solid album from these guys. You get some great tracks on this. You get On the Other Side, People of the South Wind, Away From You was one of my favorites, Reason to Be. I'm actually really excited to be digging back into this album. It's been a while since I had last listened to this. Artwork is faithfully replicated as always. Here's the back side. Here's the gatefold. Now, I have never seen a older vinyl pressing of this album, and I had no clue that it had came with a insert, which has band member portraits on this side, which I feel like I've seen these pictures elsewhere, but not part of the album artwork. And then on this side, we have all the lyrics, so you can kind of sing along to the songs as you listen to the album. Now, I'm not sure if the original featured this, but if anything, it's unique to this pressing. We have a huge poster of the album cover, which looks really, really nice. I'm sure that'll look good in any bedroom that you want to hang this in. And then we have the vinyl. Now, Friday Music did 2 colored pressings for this album. There was a blue and gold swirl of pressing of it, which looks great, but I went ahead and picked up the red and orange version, mainly because the pressing of Point of No Return that I have on this label is the gold swirl version, and then I have a black and blue swirl version of Audiovision. So I decided to be a little different and get a whole different color altogether for my Kansas collection, which is really nice. Pressed at RTI, so it's a gorgeous pressing. We get the custom center labels there. Now this is actually mastered by Ian Sefcik, and I don't think Ian has done any Friday Music releases before. But it kind of makes sense because if it's not Kevin Gray doing the mastering, it's Ron McMaster. And Ian Sefcik is kind of like Ron McMaster's kind of right-hand man. So it kind of makes sense. So I'm actually quite curious to see what he brings to the mastering chain when it comes to the Friday Music stuff. And honestly, I'm just really, really excited to dig back into this album. And kind of curious if Friday Music will tackle on maybe some of the 80s Kansas titles. We shall see, but until then, this is definitely going to get me by, and I absolutely cannot wait to give it a spin. Kansas Monolith. Alright, so popmarket.com has updated their closeout crate list on their website, which is a selection of albums which are discounted heavily in price. Mainly, I suppose, to clear out inventory and make way for newer stuff, or maybe just for the prospect that they're never going to sell those albums again and they just want to push them out. This list has essentially been what it has been for the past several months or so. A couple of new additions will pop up here and there, but for the most part, it's still the same old stuff. And honestly, it's not just the mainstream stuff that a lot of people would go after. It's, you know, rock and rap and indie and underground stuff. It's literally anything that you can possibly think of is perhaps on this list. And to be honest, it's so massive that even as a film in this clip, I have not combed through it completely. So who knows, maybe I missed out on a couple things. But from what I was able to digest and comb through and see for myself, I found a couple things that I managed to snag for 85% off, which is the current sale that they've been running. The percentage just keeps getting, you know, higher and higher off as time goes on. But so these particular records were actually on the list previously when I purchased stuff off of that list in the past. One of them, I just didn't think too much of in terms of getting like right away, so it was kind of like, you know, I'll just get it whenever if it's still available. And then the other one, which is the first one I'm going to show you, is one that got back ordered, restocked, and then went back to its full, you know, retail price, which is like whatever. I didn't really want to pay it. And then once, you know, the sale came around again, went down to like $8 or $9, and I figured for that price, that is absolutely justifiable. First one I'm going to talk about is this one here. This is Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player by Elton John. I am still growing my Elton John collection, and I figured I would do some serious justice to that by getting this album. It's notable for including Crocodile Rock, also features Daniel, Teacher I Need You, Midnight Creeper, Texan Love Song, just great, you know, 70s stuff from Elton during the glory years. Comes with a really nice gatefold. There's an old picture of Elton there at the piano. And it's kind of set up almost like a, I guess you could say like a play sort of booklet right here. The book looks like it would be stapled inside the gatefold, but instead it kind of comes separate, just in case that, you know, it doesn't kind of fall out of the gatefold while it's being transported. And it's full of really, really nice photographs of Elton, Bernie, and Elton's band, full of lyrics from the album. So it's a nice thing that you can kind of flip through and look at as you listen to the album, which definitely adds a visual element. And then essentially the last page of that booklet is replicated on this panel here of the gatefold, where you have Bernie by the Ocean. The record itself comes in a polyline sleeve, and it's pressed on nice 180-gram vinyl on the old school DJM label there. Sean McGee has been mastering all of the Elton John vinyl releases lately, and this one was pressed also at GZ Vinyl. So I've been rather pleased so far with all of the recent Elton John vinyl products that I've gotten my hands on lately, and I'm really excited to dig deeper into his discography with this album. And then up next is the album that has been on that list for so long. Didn't really think too much to get it in the past, but I figured right now it's still at a really good price. I mean, I bought this for about $12, and I love the band, but this is not really an album that I go to too much. If anything, this is actually going to be a first. I know some of the songs off of it, but as a whole, it has not saying that it hasn't clicked, but I just haven't really, you know, dug deep into it. So I figured $12. It's a really nice pressing. It's colored vinyl, pressed at a really good plant, and also considering the value of the releases that are on the label that this particular reissue came off of, I figured $12 was a perfect price. So I'm talking about Passion Works by Heart. This album of theirs came out back in 1983. This is notable for featuring How Can I Refuse. You also get some really cool tracks on here like Blue Guitar, Sleep Alone, Heavy Hearts. This came out back in 1983. This was the last album that they did for Epic, and this was before they signed to Capitol and they had their whole sort of MTV, you know, crazy successful period. This is the Friday music version, which was done back in 2015. Comes with a gatefold, which has all the lyrics to the songs, but I think the original just came with a printed inner sleeve, and this is exactly what was featured in it. But it's nice that they made it into a gatefold. Now, all of Friday music stuff lately has been pressed at RTI, so that's exactly where this pressing is from. So it's a wonderful, deluxe pressing, and it comes on kind of translucent pale purple vinyl. You kind of get flecks of magenta in there. It's really, really nice. Comes with the classic blue Epic label there. Just absolutely nice. And this was mastered by Ron McMaster. And I'm really excited to see what this sounds like, and also just to take this album in as a whole. And of course, like my Elton John collection, still growing the Heart collection, and I figured I would do so by adding this album to it. Heart's Passion Works. Alright, so we are going to end this haul on a rather bold note, and this is actually a new release which just came out today on Friday, August 30th. No, it is not the new Tool album. It's actually an artist that is on Jack White's Third Man Records label. This is an artist that I have been following for a number of years, since she did her first solo album back in 2014, and as of right now, that is all that she had put out, and we finally got a follow-up 5 years later, and that is Night Owl by Olivia Jean. Now, Olivia is an absolutely talented musician. She plays on a lot of the Third Man releases, as a session player for many artists. She is the lead guitarist, vocalist, and main songwriter for a band called the Black Bells. They're no longer together, but they did an album on Third Man, I think in 2011. It's a great listen. Her solo stuff is very much in the same vein as the Black Bells. I kind of describe it as sort of gothic garage rock, but she adds a little bit more pop sensibilities with her own work. So I'm very excited to dig into this, and I feel like in a way it's almost full circle, because when her first album came out, Bathtub Love Killings, in 2014, that was when I started collecting, and here I am to this day with my collection, have grown so much and upgrading my setup many times. I don't know, there's just this sort of sense of full circleness that has came with this particular release, so I'm very, very excited to dig into it. Comes in a very nice sort of vibrant pink sleeve right there. See if I can get the angle right so you can see it in a better light. Here's the back side. There's Olivia right there. This does come with a rather nice insert. Here's Olivia there, and we open it up and we have all the lyrics on this side and the credits on this. I'm not going to take the record out because it's in a paper sleeve and I don't want to scuff it, but here is side A. We have nice custom center labels here. Very, very nice. So far, we have gotten one single off of this album, and that is the title track, Night Owl, which is absolute ear candy. I was truly, really excited when I heard that track, and it just really hyped me up for this release. And you bet I'm going to be spinning this tomorrow morning, first thing when I wake up. I am absolutely excited to dig into this album, and also a great note to end on. Night Owl by Olivia Jean. So there you go. That is my vinyl haul of records that I have acquired within the months of July and August of this year, 2019. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the record spinning.